Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel for another flea market find segment. This is going to be stuff that I picked at the outdoor flea market back on September 17th. And we'll dive right in. So one dealer had several tools that I picked through, and I found a few items I put together, and I got a deal on this pile here for 10 bucks. Let's start with this right here. This is a Spec Tools multi-tool, and what this is this is something called the Spec Tool Skew Driver, spelled S-K-E-W Driver Pro Kit. And what it is it's, it's like a lot of these drivers you tend to find with the straight handle and interchangeable tips, but this one is unique because it has this head that's not quite at 90 degrees. It's actually a little less than 90 degrees, which makes more sense ergonomically. So you can take the handle off and use the bits directly in the handle if you want a short stubby drive. You can store some of the stuff in the back here. It pops open like that. It's also got this like spin drive deal here. Every once in a while you get into a jam where you need to get into a tight space, and that'll be nice and handy, so I'm going to keep that for myself. In addition to that, that was worth the 10 bucks alone to me. But in addition to that, I also got these two cutters. Okay, I held them up to the light. The cutting edges aren't all ruined by somebody cutting like, hard wire or whatever. So these say they're made in the USA by the XURON company of Saco, Maine. So I have never owned any tools from this company before. Never even heard of them. But they seem like they're pretty decent. So if anybody uses these tools and knows about them, feel free to comment. But these are great for doing electronic work, like cutting leads off of components after you solder in a new component, that kind of thing. So I'm going to probably end up keeping those too. Here's a Brown & Sharp wiggler set that is missing the wiggler. A Brown & Sharp punch. No, I'm sorry, a Starrett punch. A little United Twist Drill Company number 2 wedge for removing Morse tapers. This little square, which is completely unmarked, it's just a nice little square. And this double-headed pin vise, and this, unfortunately, the closing collet for this side went missing. I know that was on here when I bought it, so now it's a pin vise set. Unless I find that closing nut, can only use one end. And then a completely different dealer I went to put together a pile, and same deal, 10 bucks. And in his pile, I ended up getting this nice made in the USA pulley tap. It's a good size one. This funky little scraper, I have no idea who made this. I just thought it was a nice scraper. It's got a razor sharp edge to it. You can see it might come in handy. This drill index that's all rusty. It's a general hardware. And then 2 packages of belt lacing. Clipper lubricide pins. So what this is those big wide leather belts that they used for power transmission back in the day, and like on farms, farm machinery, or in factories, where the belts would be brought together. It was done with a special metal clips, and you would use this machine to actually crimp them. And the clips, once they're put together, they have actually a cord that goes through the 2 loops that are interlocking, and then basically the cord goes through, and that's what this stuff is right here. So I think this package is open. probably take one out to show you what it looks like. So that's all it looks like. It almost looks like it's made out of rawhide or something. Oh, this one was wide open. I could have just looked at that one. But anyways, sure, I'm probably one of the few people who knew what that stuff was when I saw it on the table there. Also got this little scale, which looks like it might have been for a depth gauge or something like that. It's made in the USA. It's a number 5000. It says Oxwall. OX-wall. Oxwall. Huh. Not familiar with that one. And then this nice little adjustable spanner wrench made in Sweden. So it says made in Sweden, number 151. There's a logo here. Probably anybody in Europe is watching this. They might recognize that and know who makes it. But that's the only markings on it. So it's got this interesting design. So this jaw is adjustable. So you just push down on this and that slides, I think. Yeah, maybe not. I'm sure there's a more graceful way to do that, but you get the deal. You get the gist of it. I got this pulley for $1. It even has the set screw still in it. Clearly off of a drill press probably, or some woodworking equipment. There's still sawdust on it. But it's in great shape. 4-step, nice cast aluminum pulley for $1. This is a brand new pair. I don't think they were ever used. Goggles with a shaded lens in there. These are Gateway brand. And I got these for $1, and I could just use these with my oxyacetylene torch unless... Nope, they look like they're the right shade for that. I'm not sure what shade they are, but they're not too dark, so they'd be good for grinding or torch work. I found a dealer who had only had a couple of Machinist items. He had this Empire brand model 2788 indicator. So this is brand new, never been used. Probably made in China. I like a dial indicator readout gauge. That's kind of a weird description for a drop indicator, huh? Dial indicator readout gauge. He had $15 on this. I was able to get this and this last word for $17. So the last word is sticky, but it's actually very clean other than sticking. So, and this is one of the stickiest ones I've ever come across. But I haven't had one yet that I wasn't able to clean it and get it to work perfectly. And this is, like I said, this is, other than sticking, it's very clean. So it's got a lot going for it. Case is decent shape too, and it's got a couple of doohickeys here and there. So, geez, I don't think that belongs in this set. Then I found these interesting. I guess they would be like swaging irons. So this one's got almost like a mushroom shape to it, sort of, and it's got a tapered shaft. And judging from the square bottom here, and this almost looks like this was made to go in a hardy hole on an anvil or a swage block, maybe. I don't know. And this says semi-steel. So I don't know what that means. Semi-steel? Maybe that's the name of the company? No, it's a Dixon 71 right there. So this is a Dixon 71 semi-steel. And then this one is also semi-steel. This is a Dixon. This one's a little bit harder to figure out what this one is because it says Dixon and it looks almost like there's a hyphen and then maybe there's supposed to be a number here and then space and then 2. I don't know. But this has got this shape to it. It's a little bit larger. Not much, but Anyways, so he had these two, no other blacksmith items, and then he had this solid brass deal here, which looks like maybe it's designed to be held like this and then struck. I don't know. There's no hole in it, so it's not a hammerhead. But, you know, it's heavy. It's solid brass, and that's why I had to pay $25 for these 3 items, because he really thought that this was worth something because of the fact that it's solid brass. I mean, it is worth something, but I mean, I guess from a scrap point of view, he was already thinking, geez, he didn't want to give it away too cheap. But actually, I think these two might be real sleepers here in this particular buy. All right, let's get some more stuff up here. All right, we're almost done. Got a couple of items outside I'm going to show you at the end of this video, but right now I've got these 3 items here that I picked for dirt cheap. Let's start with this meter that caught my eye. I've never seen one of these before. You guys know that I like vintage electronics, and I tend to gravitate towards junk like this. And the old Simpson meters, the old black ones, I've bought quite a few of those over the years if I could buy them cheap enough and they're in decent condition. Probably the nicest one I ever bought was one that had the original case and leads and everything. This one actually doesn't have a name anywhere on the front, and it says temperature compensated over here, but there's no name on the meter. But on the back, it actually says down here, made in the USA by Simpson Electric Company. So this is actually a model of Simpson meter that I've never seen before. Before I bought it, even though I only paid $2 for this thing, I still opened up the back because I wanted to make sure that there weren't any corroded batteries left in there. And much to my surprise, somebody did leave batteries in here, but they're actually not even corroded. So this meter uses these funky little batteries right here. Uses 2 of these. Zoom in on here. So just to give you an idea on the size. So imagine a 9-volt transistor battery. Those of us who still remember what a 9-volt transistor battery looks like. Imagine a short version of that that has one lead at each end, one connection at each end instead of the 2 posts on the same side. So kind of a funky little deal. So the part number on this battery is it's a number 411, an ever-ready number 411, and it's a whopping 15-volt battery. So there's something you don't see every day. And like I said, there's actually 2 of them in here. So glad to see the contacts are actually still in good shape. On top of that, there's an old D battery in here, but I mean, this looks like it might be original. It says it's a type D, but it's kind of weird because it says made by Bright Star Industries, made in the USA. So I'm wondering whether or not that isn't an original battery that was left in here. And again, the other amazing thing is, look at this thing. It's clean as a whistle. There's some corrosion on here, but there's no leakage at all. Some nicely made batteries we got here. And these 2 batteries aren't even completely dead. This one's measuring 1.4, which is, dead, but not as dead as I would have expected. This 15-volt one's measuring 14 volts. This one's really dead. This one's only measuring 2.6 volts, which is interesting because I would have thought that these 2 might be in series, but I guess not. Here's a 9-volt transistor battery next to the 411. You can see the shape of the battery is almost identical. It's just shorter and the position of the connections is different. So I just looked up. These are still available. I guess this is considered like an industrial battery now, the 411s. You can get an alkaline replacement for this on eBay. They're $19 each. So I will not be paying $38 to put batteries in this thing. Well, and plus this one, right? Oh well. So even though that battery is kind of dead, I actually am still able to get some deflection on the resistance scales. I can even zero it on the highest, well, second to the highest scale. The highest resistance scale, the times 10,000 multiplier, it doesn't work at all, but my suspicion is that's what these other two batteries are used for that circuit. When I put it on the times 1 though, I can't get it to deflect much, but that's probably just that battery being so dead. Yeah, so the other thing I just realized about this that I didn't notice was this has got some funky lead connections here. These are recessed holes with male banana pins, by the looks of it, down there. The opposite of what, you know, the traditional modern multimeter has the pin, the male pin on the lead. I had this AC adapter sitting here on the bench, and it's on the 0 to 60 volt DC scale, and it looks like it's measuring 16 volts. Now, I think that's only a 12 volt DC adapter. Yeah, it's only a 12 volt DC adapter, but it might be measuring that high because it's unloaded. Let's see what the trusty Fluke says. 15.8. Close enough. So if you're wondering, on eBay, sold auctions for these meters, they run between $25 and $50. $25 for a meter like this with no accessories or anything and untested, and you know, $40 or $50 for a meter that has the leads, and some even had the case. Another item I picked up that I don't really buy anymore is this large half-gallon Atlas Easy Seal canning jar. It's got a really rusted bail on the top, and I don't buy these because they're not usually too valuable, but these larger ones are a little bit more valuable, so I mean, you might be able to get 10 or 15 bucks for them. I got this one for $2, so for $2 it was worth it. And then I picked up from one of the dealers that I buy from all the time. I was looking through a box of stuff he had, and I saw this Stuart Warner instrumentation box. Had a price on it of $13.35 at some point. It's a model 82311. But what's in here is a brand new old stock ammeter, 60 amp. So I thought, well, that'd be great for like maybe on the backhoe or the tractor or something. It even has the original socket for the backlighting and the paperwork in the box. Scored this for $1. Can't beat that with a stick. All right, let's take a look at those last two items. So a guy there had this Burger tripod for a Transit, and he didn't have the Transit, he just had the tripod. And I asked him earlier, you know, when I first saw it, how much he wanted for it, and he wanted $25 for it, and I really wasn't, I already had one, so I was like, well, you know, it's better than the one I've got, which I'll show you in a minute. And then when I was leaving, he still had it. So I said, I tell you what, I said, I don't really need it, but if you take $10 for it, I'll take it. He took my $10, so I got a good deal on that. It's got corrosion on the top, all the paint's flaking off, but the top is straight, so I'm not too worried about it. So a while back, I picked up one of these tripods. It actually just says made in the USA, but the reason why I know it's a Burger is because it's identical to the one I picked up a while ago. And this one clearly is marked CST Burger, and I don't remember what I paid for this one, but this one has a couple of issues. First off, it was obviously hit or fell off a truck or something, because that leg is bent. The other two legs are okay. And then I didn't realize until I got home that this top surface right here was bent, and I took this piece off and I tried to bend it back straight, but I made the mistake of not heating it before I tried bending it, and it actually cracked. So then what I did was I rigged up this deal here with these big flat washers and a nut and bolt to basically force this thing to be flat enough, and then I just rest my Transit on here kind of precariously, and it's not mounted, so not the greatest idea, but it was working for me. I mean, I'm not a surveyor, I just want to know, like, kind of get a rough idea where lot lines are or where I want to put a fence or whatever. So anyways, so I was glad to get this thing for $10. So I figure I'll probably just end up scrapping this thing. It's got some aluminum. But without a doubt, the buy of the day was I bought this first thing in the morning when I got there because it wouldn't have lasted. This is a Steel 021 chainsaw. It's it's a smaller model. I ended up the guy wanted $30 for it. I ended up actually getting him to give me this thing for $20. The understanding was that it probably didn't run and probably would need some work. Well, I probably had this thing for a couple of weeks and finally got around to deciding, well, just for the heck of it, I'll throw some gas in it, throw some fresh premixed gas in it, and it didn't take much to get it started. It didn't take much tuning to get it running really well. And then I went to cut something and it wouldn't cut. And then I looked and I realized the chain was on backwards. So it's on correctly now because I had switched it around, but somebody had inadvertently put they had flipped the chain. It was on backwards. So of course with the chain on backwards, it wasn't worth a damn. So I ended up flipping the chain around, and lo and behold, it's a great running saw. And I've been behind on editing, and so I've actually been running this saw now and using it regularly off and on for the past several months, and it's just been a great saw. I can't say enough good about it. So Alright, so that's going to bring this video to a close. I hope you guys enjoyed this pick video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing. And also, please consider sharing the video. It really helps me out and motivates me to make more videos. Take care.